Look at that passing attack from the year ago. It was one of the worst in terms of overall passing touchdowns, even though it ended up being a top 10 unit in terms of total yards. They made the bold move, their general manager, Chris Ballard, and head coach Frank Reich, to go out and get Carson Wentz. Now they got to make sure that they surround Carson Wentz with the requisite talent to be able to compete at the highest level. That's a team that should be in a position to win their division. Like, if I'm picking teams that should win the AFC South, the Colts are at the top of that list. The one thing that would give me a little bit of trepidation is the skill position players, and there aren't a whole lot of weapons to speak of on the edges of it. T.Y. Hilton is getting a little bit past it. I just feel like Julio Jones would punch that offense up a little bit, give Carson Wentz a weapon that can dictate front and coverage. Right now they don't have that guy, so Julio Jones would be the pick.
The reason, Molly, you're saying except for the Ravens is we all say the Ravens, right?
Yeah.
And why would we say the Ravens?
Does Lamar need someone?
Because we want to find out about Lamar. Because they got everything else except a real stud number one receiver, and Julio Jones has been the man in this era really overall. Because on the field, what's his weakness? He's a dude without a single weakness. Size, speed, whatever you want. Locker room guy, the whole thing. Mm-hmm. We want to find out about Lamar. You want to find out about Carson Wentz and the Colts, right? Yep. Know who I want to find out about? Cam Newton and Bill Belichick. That's who I want to find out about. You know, they bring in Hunter Henry, and they bring in Jonnu Smith. And when Aguilar is like, oh, they brought in Aguilar, that means you know you're struggling with a K in terms of receivers. Kendrick Bourne, those are nice, but they don't have a number one stud receiver. And that's how you'll really find out. I think people are sleeping, snoozing, snoring on Cam Newton. But maybe he's past it. Maybe the league's caught up to him. There are enough other athletic quarterbacks who are also accurate consistently down the field. Maybe the league's past Cam. Maybe he's taken too much punishment. Or maybe he was working with a putrid offense last year in a COVID year with COVID. Put Julio Jones on the Patriots and let's see what happens. Let's see how much Belichick and Cam have left.
I don't know how long Cam's going to be the starting quarterback in New England either. I just don't. They took Mac Jones in the first round for a reason.
You give him Julio Jones, I bet you Cam will be there for a minute.
Okay.
Canty, who would you rather have, Wentz or Cam?
Oh, I got to go with I can't believe I'm saying this because I wanted to say Cam. I got to go with Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
And I don't know who Carson Wentz is. I want to believe that he's more of the guy we saw in 2017 and not the guy that we saw last year, who in 12 games led the league in sacks and interceptions. But I think Carson Wentz has the more upside because Carson Wentz has a lot more career left. So I would take Carson Wentz at this point over Cam Newton. I just have to.
That's fair.
I mean, Cam statistically was like the worst starting quarterback in the game last year, so I get it. But he's the worst starting quarterback in the game. Carson Wentz wasn't even a starter by the end of the year. You know why? He was considered he couldn't have a starting job. They put a rookie in. The offense did better with the rookie.
His confidence was shook, though.
Yeah,
but here's the problem.
Here's
the problem with saying that. Remember I started criticizing Wentz the year before in the second half when everyone said, he's an MVP. And I was like, guys, he's regressing shockingly. Week over week, I saw it. Last year was a continuation. It started a year and a half ago, down, right? So I don't know that it's just confidence. I think everything's messed up. Confidence is one of them. Kind of his internal clock, his timing, everything looks backwards to me with Carson Wentz. He's in a perfect position, got an offensive line, got the coach he's familiar with. He's got an offense, he's got a defense. We're going to find out.
Yeah, we've seen both them, Cam and Carson, play at very high levels at one point in their career. We got to see if that can come back again. To the Knicks we go. They are back, Max. You shouldn't have ditched them. You're a New Yorker too, Canty. What's the deal? After clinching a playoff spot for the first time since 2012-2013, RJ Barrett weighed in on how they'd like to see this thing shake out, saying, we definitely want that 4 seed. We want that home court. Smart man. Big perk back on your screen. Max, I'm going to start with you. How far do you see the Knicks getting in the playoffs?
If they can get the Hawks in the first round, they can get to the second round where their season will end. If they can get to the second round. Because, guys, something's occurred to me. Watching the Knicks, especially against the Lakers, and I know they were a little shorthanded. Obviously, so were the Lakers. They had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter a couple nights ago. And Talen Horton-Tucker was running point for the Lakers. They had no one else. And they didn't have any of their best players, really. And, because AD is, with the groin and everything. And they lost. What's the criticism of Tibbs been throughout his career as a head coach? the team is really together and they're connected on defense and they really put in a lot of effort. And by the end of the season, they look a little gassed. And I looked in that fourth quarter. Julius Randle hit the gas pedal. Nothing there. Same thing with Derrick Rose. So I wonder if the Knicks in the playoffs can even get past the Hawks. But if they can, it'll end in the second round.
Kirk?
Max, stop it, dog. And that, you know what? What you just said lets me further know that you be watching the game of basketball through a completely different lens than everyone else. If you're going to sit up here and tell me that the Knicks look gas, I thought Julius Randle hit a big shot in Anthony Davis' face. Derrick Rose hit a big floater down the stretch. The game was tight. It was an old school type of game, Max. Like it was hung on the defensive end. Again, Candy, listen, it was in the trenches, Candy. It was in the trenches. That was one of those old school games. No one looked gas, Max. Like,
oh,
stop
yes, they
it.
did.
You know what happened with the Knicks? It was the Anthony Davis effect. His defense. That's why Derrick Rose couldn't get some of his shots off when Anthony Davis switched on him, or Julius Randle couldn't get those buckets, or or they had a 24-second shot clock violation. It had nothing to do with the Knicks looking tired. Matter of fact, Derrick Rose looked great. But to answer your question, Molly, the Knicks ceiling is the second round. I'm not going to sit up here and disrespect the Atlanta Hawks, but if the Knicks get home court, they will beat the Hawks. I believe that series will go 6 or 7, and they will get to the second round. And whatever team they face in the second round, that series will also go 6 and 7.
Yeah, Big Perk, I'm with you on that one. I think the ceiling for this Knicks team is the second round, but make no mistake about it. The Knicks are a team that nobody in the Eastern Conference wants to see. They're going to take their pound of flesh. And you saw that with the Lakers, even though they didn't have LeBron him at BYU. I just don't know if it's going to translate to having success. I didn't watch a ton of Zach Wilson tape, but I did see him against Coastal Carolina, and he didn't look that great.
By the way, I didn't see a bunch of Zach Wilson, and then wait, he's ahead of Justin Fields, and so I went and YouTubed a bunch of Zach Wilson. Oh my God! But as Mina Kimes pointed out, that offensive line was a beast, right? He had a lot of time to do it. I'm just saying the eyeball test says this kid can play.
I want to go back to MVP really quick because obviously Vegas has Trevor Lawrence winning it. But do you think that's not the wisest choice just based on the fact it depends also on how well your team does to win MVP?
Yeah, it seems a little strange.
I'm surprised Vegas would pick him. You're kind of the odds expert with the Vegas stuff, right?
Well, I mean, look, I look at all these guys. I think that the guys who people think, like the number one guy obviously is Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of the team. The guy who got drafted second was Zach Wilson. Also, their team's not going to be ready yet, right? Yeah. So you start looking around, who could play for a good team and put up numbers. I don't think that's Mac Jones.
Yep.
I don't think he's going to play so fast as a lot of people think he's going to play. And so it comes down to me to Trey Lance and Justin Fields. And I agree with you. The injury thing is the big thing. Trey Lance could wind up in that situation if Garoppolo gets hurt, and he often does, but not all the time. And he did play in a Super Bowl. Justin Fields, it's his job. Mm-hmm. It's his job, and the team ain't bad.
And the team has a chance to win, but why would Vegas have Trevor Lawrence knowing the team isn't good? I mean, we're talking about this with Steph Curry with MVP, right? He's having a phenomenal year, but the team's not good enough. So I don't understand that.
Because Vegas, real quick, when they set odds, they're just trying to get action on both sides of the line. So really what Vegas is doing is trying to take the temperature of the public. Trevor Lawrence has the most press, the most obvious talent. He's the most ready. He was the number 1 overall pick. So they take him because they probably get action on both sides.
Well, here's the one thing I will say about that as well. Trevor Lawrence is one of the most heralded prospects we've seen since Andrew Luck. And you saw what Andrew Luck did in year 1 with the Colts. Now, I get it. It's a different situation with that team versus where the Jags are. But if Trevor Lawrence is a part of being a turnaround agent for that Jags team, and, of course, that division being one of the worst divisions in all of football, I think that's what Vegas is betting on to see if they can get people involved with that.